¿Qué pasó, mi gente? It's Mark Tip 25 otra vez. Welcome to El Chuco Sportscast. I'm Mark, and this is my brother Mario. How you doing, dude?
I'm doing fantastic, man. Fantastic. Yeah. For what things are worth, it's great.
I'm glad to hear. Yeah, the mother-in-law and sister-in-law came to visit me this weekend. It was pretty nice. We spent some time. Like, she made some pho. We were playing some video games and stuff. It was cool. It was nice.
Wait, she plays video games too?
Yeah, once in a while. Her mom plays
Really?
video games. Yeah. Well, I mean,
Wow.
remember, my wife's parents are younger than our parents. Like, they're pretty much a generation gap between them.
Oh, okay.
Because her mom's like in her early 40s, and our mom and dad are in their 60s, so that's a huge age gap.
Oh yeah, 20-year gap. Yeah, for sure. I'm not used to parents other than our generation or Gen X being able to do that. That's why I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah. Well, I mean, pretty soon that's going to be us. We're going to be probably playing video games within that time. But that's
well, yeah. I mean, we grew up with them, so it's like, why is the shit that changed just because we're old?
I don't know, because I don't know. The older generation think it's a waste of time, but then you think about it. There's kids making thousands of dollars playing in these leagues, so it's like it's really not that far-fetched to be playing video games as a source of income.
Or doing YouTube. That's why I'm glad that we started getting into this. I wish we had started like 10 years ago, but hey, we're doing it now. That matters. That's what matters.
Yeah, I mean, and hopefully this does like take root and develop. I mean, and as a matter of fact, what I wanted to announce before we get started on the main stuff with the channel right now, I kind of wanted to I wanted to address, hey, in the future, please like and subscribe to my videos. I'm trying to get to 100 subscribers by the end of the month, and it would be nice if we could hit that mark. And then in the future, I'll set some more goals just to kind of hit. But I'm really excited. Like, it's doing well thus far. I mean, currently I have like 28 subscribers for my Mark Tep 25 channel alone, and I have 24 for the Tenor channel, which is my music channel. So hopefully those both continue to grow in the future. And I'm gonna make an announcement about something for my other channel in a little while. But yeah, let's get started. You had an article that you wanted to kind of talk about. It was about the the Sun Belt and the Conference USA wanting to merge.
Yeah, I came across it because it was very interesting. With the situation, of course, it's bringing up a bunch of different changes, not just in the economy, but of course in sports. So yeah, it was reading. This is on our hometown AM 600 KROD ESPN from El Paso. They were saying how President Wilson and Director Athletics John Center were talking about how the school was going to return as far as sports goes, and it's saying about how when they would return to athletic competition in the conference, but it wasn't really specified yet. But it said that there was a possibility of the Sun Belt, all the universities within the Sun Belt Conference merging with Conference USA. So it's a very interesting thing to ponder if you think about it. They're neighboring conferences, so it shouldn't be that big of a challenge as far as combining the two conferences together. So I remember. Well, I remember. Go ahead.
No. You first. Sorry.
It was because I remember it was this a few years back when I was still in my undergrad at UTEP, saying that there was a chance. I don't know if it was football or basketball, where there was a chance to where we would merge. I think it was with basketball, where Conference USA in basketball would merge with the Mountain West Conference in basketball. And I was like, oh, that's interesting.
Oh, I thought that was football. Now that I think about it, I thought it was football.
Well, if it was football, then that probably is. I just couldn't remember which one it
Yeah,
was.
because I remember that talking about it. It's like, dude, that's where Boise is. Boise State. Like UTEP would get trounced by Boise State. Boise State. Well, at the time, Boise State was one of the powerhouse football teams in the NCAA.
Right. Well, they pondered that, but that didn't come to fruition. I'm not sure why. Which I thought. Well, I thought all school. I thought wouldn't it be all sports, all teams across the school would that be the case for all, and where Mountain West and Conference should combine, or it would be just
Certain
football or
sports.
basketball specifically, which I didn't know you could do that, where it can be one particular sport can be merging two conferences or whatever.
Yeah, I don't claim to know the specifics of something of that nature. I mean, I think it would make sense if all the sports would follow suit, like for a school, because that just makes more sense. But I think the only issue behind that is a lot of these schools. I mean, there's a lot of schools per conference. So are we just going to make it a super conference? Like, and is every other conference like Big Ten and Big 12 and ACC and all of them going to follow suit, or like
Well, I
what is going to
mean,
happen?
other conferences, I'm sure, have done this in the past. I mean, some have merged, or even some schools have switched conferences. Now, based on what Center was saying in this interview was that um, he was discussing different models that would turn Conference USA and the Sun Belt into a super league, apparently, where it would be divided up into like divisions, right? Like how some
Hmm.
conferences have divisions, and even in the pros, right?
And so the top teams within each division gets a chance to go to like the playoffs, right? Is that
Yeah,
what you were presuming?
I'm guessing so, because he said like how he explained is like where they would feature like an East Division that would consist of Liberty University, Appalachian State, Marshall, Middle Tennessee, Old Dominion, Western Kentucky, Charlotte, Coastal Carolina, Florida Atlantic, Florida International, Georgia State, and Georgia Southern.
That's a
And
pretty big
then,
division.
yeah, well, we already had Appalachia State, Middle Tennessee, Old Dominion, Western Kentucky, Charlotte in our was it Florida Atlantic and Florida International in conference users. So we would be gaining Liberty. Marshall would be coming back to conference to play against, and Coastal Carolina, Georgia State, and Georgia Southern would be new additions. And then the Western Division would consist of, I guess, UL, which I think is University of Louisiana, I believe. Yeah, I think so. University of Louisiana Monroe, Louisiana Tech, Southern Alabama, USM, which is University of Southern Mississippi, Troy, UAB, Arkansas State, and MSU. Well, wouldn't you believe that? And MSU would finally be in our conference. North Texas, Rice would be back, Texas State, UT San Antonio, and us. So
So that's mainly, so it's two divisions within a conference.
yes, East and
Okay.
West, because it goes, yeah.
That's just one. That's one idea, right? There was another idea besides that one.
Yes, I mean, well, at least in this interview, he discussed this is a possibility.
I mean, I could see that, but at the same time, I think they should separate it a little bit more. I think what they should do is separate it into four divisions: north, south, east, west, like every other thing, um, and get it to where the top four, like the top teams within each division, would represent that conference in a tournament, right? Wouldn't that make more sense?
That's a possibility, yeah.
That's
Based on
how
this,
I see it. I think that would be the best way to go about that
right,
if they did combine conferences within the college
right,
sports, because then that would give teams more opportunity to play. Right? Football
right.
is the only sport that gets a little bit tricky though, because I mean, granted, it would help that a little bit more if I did the division my way, where you have 4 teams instead of like a shit ton of teams to play in the national tournament. But see, the thing is with football, it gets really tough because then do you lessen the amount of games on the schedule in order to compensate for them to be able to be healthy enough for a playoff bracket of that nature? Basketball is a little easier in the sense that you could play probably quite a few more games and be fine, but football is completely different. It's a little hard to distinguish in that regard.
Well, it's a more taxing sport. So based on what I counted, there's about 27 teams if they combine the two conferences together, and splitting it between East and West because of where the layout of the team, where the demographic of the teams are. It's usually across, from what I see, it's across most of the southern states. So that's
Well,
why it would be
there's
East
still
and West.
but there's still northern parts and southern parts of states too. So
Right.
I think it would make more sense to do it that way, because then, say, I don't know, I guess you could still take 2 teams from each division to represent the conference, but even then, I think it'd be easier, like, ¿cómo se llama? Geographically, to separate them that way, just so the traveling is not as hard, I guess. I don't
Right.
know. Maybe I could be wrong, but that's just how I see it.
Right. Well, and then the interesting thing about if this were to happen is for the West Division is NMSU. It says that currently they're in the independent league in football, but in every
Really?
other sport, yeah, they're independent in football. But in every other sport on campus, they're part of the WAC. So that was interesting because for the longest time, I remember NMSU being part of the WAC, and we were part of the WAC for the longest time until we went to Conference USA. So that was interesting to see that for football, it was possibility that they would merge back into an actual conference. So it's still interesting how it may turn out.
It's still a theory. Like, in essence, it's still in the works, but it's not certain if it's going to happen or not.
Yeah.
Right? But
Okay.
I mean, it would be interesting because then I think that would reestablish the rivalry between UTEP and NMSU. I mean, they've always been big rivalries, but even then, like, I think that would strengthen it because they're back in the same conference and would give people more of a reason to watch that specific rivalry.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So it's still up in the air how it's going to play out, as far as realigning conferences, schools into conferences or combining conferences. Because like I said, it almost happened when with Conference UC merging with Mountain West. That happened 8 years ago. Like I said, it didn't come to fruition. So we'll see how this goes on. If based on the number of schools, which is 27, combining the two, it would be very interesting. It would definitely have to be then, because if they still stay with a 12-game season in the regular season for college football, then that would mean that there's no way you're going to play all the teams in the conference. They would have to alternate.
But see, you would have to
season by
play.
season.
But see, you would have to play because you would place teams out of your conference and teams within your conference. And I think like I said, if you divide it into 4 divisions rather than 2, you could see teams within each division face their division rivals, and then face teams like maybe one team from different divisions within the conference. So that's 3 more teams. So that's 7, because there's technically 10 games in a season for college, right? And then 3 more random teams from outside the conference.
Well, yeah. Usually, from what I've seen, usually play about 2 exhibition games, which means non-conference games, or so, if I remember correctly. That sounds probably right. I think it's about 2.
I
And
think
then you
that
start
makes
conference
sense
play.
if you divide it like the way I'm saying. I mean, the way they're saying, I don't see how it would work. It just seems a little. I mean, I'm not saying I'm against like them merging, but I'm saying the way they're setting up the divisions doesn't seem very well thought out. With divisions, I mean, since there's so many teams, 27 is a lot of teams. So why not just space it out into smaller chunks rather than 2 big chunks?
Well, like I said, this is still up in the air. It's not finalized. So I'm sure in the coming months we will hear from how this is going to work out. We'll have to just hear from both commissioners from both conferences, and we'll probably get our answers then. But like I said, it's a thought. I mean, like I said, almost happened before. There's a chance it could happen now based on
How everything has gone. Yeah, it's
yeah,
really
especially with this.
unprecedented, like the way this has changed the landscape of life in general and of sports, especially in the college world. It's kind of interesting to think. I
Yeah,
think it would be kind of cool, but we'll see how it kind of unfolds at that point.
yeah,
But
for sure.
yeah, as far as the next thing, I kind of wanted to talk about the playoffs. They've announced that there's been announcements from like people in the NBA that the playoffs, or not the playoffs, but the season itself would resume in late July, and they're going to be playing the games at a resort in Disney in Orlando, Florida. There's also speculation there could be some being played in Las Vegas, but I think it'd be best if they did it in one specific bubble instead of two other bubbles, just so they could keep tabs on making sure that if they're like the virus should hit, it doesn't spread.
So you mean like instead of doing the traditional where each team gets to play on their home court alternating, it would only be at two neutral locations?
Yeah, and people and I'll discuss it right now. But yeah, so that's what's going on currently. We don't know exactly all the specifics. All I know is that they're considering either A, finishing the season going into the playoffs, or B, like doing a few exhibition games to kind of like get them warmed up so that they can start the playoffs. But my question is, would those exhibition games count towards the regular season total, or would they just be separate games just as warm-ups? Like, what are we talking about here? Because if that's the case, I think that's dumb, because it's just like, what's even the point of shortening the season? Like, you might as well just jump into the playoffs. Just do maybe a couple exhibition games to warm up, and then just start the playoffs, because you don't want to bleed too much into the next season, because
Yeah.
then it gets hard for people to plan for the draft. It gets harder for people to plan for free agency. And you're already starting the rest of the season late as it is. You might as well just start the playoffs and end it. But see, a lot of people think that in doing that or something of that nature, there will be a huge asterisk on the season itself, whoever wins the title, because, hey, well, you didn't give these other teams a chance to finish out the season. It's like, okay, but who's to say they would have made the playoffs or not? I mean, I guess in the West, the only team that may have had a chance to probably take the 8th seed away from the Grizzlies would have been the Pelicans, or maybe the Trailblazers, but the Trailblazers were kind of struggling, so I don't really care for that. So I don't know. I just think it just makes no sense. You waste way more time. You should just start the playoffs. Um, and another reason they think there will be an asterisk on the whole season is because it's just such weird circumstances. People may be rusty, but I don't know. I disagree, because you can be rusty, but you could also be rested. And you also get quite a few other players back that are healthy. Granted, there are still some people that obviously they were never going to get back anyway, considering how bad the injury was. Like in my last video, I talked about Jonathan Isaacs and Al-Farouq Aminu for the Magic. Like, they're not going to come back. I mean, their injuries pretty much have them out for the season. But who knows? Maybe Jonathan Isaac does come back, because maybe his injury wasn't as severe now that they've given that much time off for those players. But I don't know. That's just how I see it. Like you can say what you want, but in the end, this is going to have to be played out in one way or another. You can't just cancel the season, because then that will be an asterisk. That's when I say it will be an asterisk. And Dom 2K recently made a video about that whole thing, but he should have just kind of left it at like, well, it doesn't matter if what you think, the season's going to play out. He should have just left it at that. But I understand he wanted to give explanations as to why people would think there would be an asterisk, because a lot of times people will think, oh, well, if the Lakers win, it'll be an asterisk because of the circumstances they had in their favor. But I disagree, because every team had neutral ground in their favor. There's no home court advantage. There's no, extra bullshit that comes into play. Oh, well, they don't have the home fans or the away fans pumping them up or acting against them. I mean, dude, basketball is basketball. You shouldn't care about that to play the game. And granted, I get it. It's a different atmosphere. But if just pump sound into the stadium. And of course, there's going to be other people there, like the sportscasters and the cameramen. So let's not pretend that they wouldn't like add to the whole thing. And plus, you get to hear what the players are saying. You know what I mean? It's just it adds a different element. But that should not distract you from the game in front of you. That's my only thing. You're a professional basketball player. You've played it, like they play at rec games, they play in gyms. So what does it matter? They should be able to play in any circumstance. That's the whole point. So why should there be an asterisk, especially since they're on all neutral playing field? And a lot of their players, more than not, are going to come back healthier. There's, like I said, there's some extraneous circumstances, but the majority of them are going to come back healthier and ready to play. So.
Right. Well, I see the asterisks being just about the coronavirus. That's it. I mean, I would say, asterisks would be full regular season wasn't completed due to the coronavirus, period. End of story. That's the only thing I would see. And, that's why I feel that's the only asterisk I would see. But as far as anything else, man, I think you're just trying to nitpick at that point. So, I mean, I feel trying to pick up the regular season where left off would probably take too long. If they were thinking of starting back in July, because if this goes, I would see the season maybe finishing maybe at the start of August, and then the playoffs start in August, and then go into September. Then that's when football starts up again. I just feel it's just going to run into a lot of issues. So I would think
they're going to lose a lot of viewership at that point. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I think they would lose a lot of viewers, and it would cut into the viewership of the NFL too.
Right. So I would feel it would be best. I was hoping they would start sooner. I was hoping maybe June.
Yeah, they should start the playoffs at this point.
Start the playoffs now. Start the playoffs and then just finish the season, and then hopefully, because then how long do they have until the regular season starts up again? Well, when do they start? October?
It's October, yeah. But then you also are missing out on free agency, the draft, and summer league. So that's just a lot of stuff you're missing out on if you do that, unless you start the next season even later. So, but at that point, it's like you might as well just start the playoffs now so you could restart the next season fresh. And if you want to cut the season shorter, like just make this the norm from now on, just go about it that way. But see, again, if you shorten the season, you miss out on the whole allure of beating the illustrious record of 72-10 or 63-9. 73-9 that the Warriors beat. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, yeah, but at that time, okay, so we're going through a time. It's going to take a while before we return to a form of normalcy. So the next season, yeah, we may have to cut it shorter. In order for free agency and everything else to take place. And then probably by the end of next summer, we should be back to normal as far as the time frame goes. So
I'd also be salty, yeah. I'd also be salty if they continue the season rather than jump in the playoffs, because then it'll totally mess up my predictions videos. So that's what I'm a little salty about. But at the same time, it's like, it's whatever. I'm going to make those videos anyway, and I can always just update it on this podcast. That's really all I can do. And I hope you all could watch those videos for the sake of the art and just the effort that I put in there, because I think that in itself is commendable. I worked really hard on that Eastern Conference video, and I'm going to continue to work for this Western Conference video and try and finish it. I didn't get around to it because, again, my mother-in-law and sister-in-law were in town, and I wanted to make sure we spent time with them and all that. But another thing about the asterisk deal, and another reason why it came up is because during the lockout seasons, like after 2011 and then in 1999, a lot of people said LeBron's ring was not even a true ring. It was like half a ring because it was in a lockout season. Like that's what some people were
Dude,
saying, which I never heard, but apparently that
stop.
was a thing. And I think that's bullshit. It's like, dude, a ring's a ring. You play who's in front of you, no matter the circumstance. You know what I mean? So by that logic, Bill Russell's rings are less. By that logic, every player in the past has like their rings don't mean shit because they played less playoff games or regular season games.
Oh
Stop with
man,
that. That argument seriously needs to stop
it's very.
because these players play their asses off. They work hard. They train for the chance to make it to the finals. Leave it alone. It
It's
is
so
not
funny.
an asterisk. And people like even Shaq. Shaq has just, as of late, become a complete asshole. He has. He's a complete asshole because he talks about Duncan's rings. Like he's like, oh, you only have 4 rings. That other 5th ring doesn't fucking matter because you got it in a lockout in '99. It's like, what the fuck
He
does it
said that.
matter? Yes. What the fuck does it matter,
Wow.
Shaq? Bitch, you still would have less rings or even the same amount. Like that doesn't matter, Shaq. Like if you had played your own game and had been harder working than you were, you would have been even greater. And again, this is not to say Shaq was never a great player. And there's another video that Rusty Buckets even made. Had Shaq not been so lazy, he probably could have won at least 3 or 4 more rings. He probably could have been a 7-time champion and probably even been better than Jordan. But he didn't apply himself. So that's his own fault. So for him to, it's because, again, he's such a salty motherfucker, dude. He likes to, no, he is. And I'm sorry I'm saying this on this cast, but come on, dude. Shaq needs to lay
Yeah.
off. Duncan is a hell of a player, and he's very deserving of those championships. So that's
I
why
know.
I think it's bullshit for people to say that whoever wins this is an asterisk. Like if the Bucks win, oh well, Giannis got his first ring in a in a weird season, and and if he somehow for some reason doesn't go back to the finals the year after, oh, it's a fluke. No, no, no. He got there with the good team that he had. There's no question. Same with the Clippers. Oh well, Kawhi Leonard got in there and he won with Paul George and all of them on a shortened season. And what does it matter? Oh, the Clippers' first ring only came in during a shortened season because of Corona. You're kidding, dude. What does it matter? They won their first. If they win, they would win their first championship, and Kawhi would be the first player to win championships with 3 different teams as the leader. That's ridiculous, dude.
Dude,
That's ridiculous.
I had no idea that Shaq was like that, man. It's like, man,
Well,
wow.
Shaq can be cool, and he's one of the greatest players. I'm not going to deny that. But he could be a total, like, petty motherfucker, dude. He's petty. Because anytime somebody, like, questions anything he's done or, gives him actual constructive criticism, he, like, turns into a child, man. He calls out their mom and, like, just all this crap. It's like, dude. And also, anytime he argues with Charles Barkley, all he brings up is, like, how many rings you got, Chuck? How many rings you got, Chuck? It's like, dude, what the fuck? That's not the point. That's not the fucking discussion. Nobody's
Yeah,
talking about that. You're the only one talking about that, Shaq.
yeah. This just is some guys that just wanna start irrelevant arguments. To be honest with you, it's like, look, whatever. Why I would never shit on somebody when earned they earned their keep, they earned their success through the blood, sweat, and tears that they put into the game. And yes, there's some teams where there's some players I'd get so frustrated with because they're against my team, and sometimes they would just hammer them, and it's like, oh, but I'm not gonna shit on the person who has clearly put the work in and earned what he was able to achieve. So
Yeah,
that's not right.
I just it gets frustrating because you can never have a constructive argument. And also when people's like, oh well, they lost because of this injury, and it's like, okay, but see, by that logic, you could say that about any year in NBA history. Any year, there's always a player that's injured that could have helped push a team over the top or have changed a series or something. But does time wait for that? Does the league wait for that? No, they keep going. You play who's in front of you. That is what it is. Like people say, oh well, the Raptors ring has an asterisk on it because Clay and Curry weren't well, no, Clay and KD weren't healthy, and that's fine. I guess that's true
Yeah,
to an
but
extent. But the
you
Raptors
could have said.
still beat them. The Raptors still beat them.
Well,
Like,
they tried to give that same thing to LeBron when he lost the first. Was it the first finals when he came back to Cleveland when he was hurt and Kyrie was hurt and everyone else he was playing hurt? You might as well put an asterisk on that too,
well,
right?
no, that's what I'm
But
saying. Well, no, people do. People like to say that the 2015 finals has an asterisk because Kyrie and Love were out. And it's just
that,
like, dude, okay, but is that Curry's fault? Is that Clay's fault that they're injured? No,
no, dude,
that is not anyone on that team's fault that
no,
they
dude,
couldn't stay healthy. Like, it's really
that's
nobody's fault.
dude, that's just a lame excuse. That's all it is, and it's an excuse. It's like, okay, bro, you got to realize injuries are part of the game. Yeah, you're going to get injured when you least expect it. And sometimes it can't be helped. So what do you expect these guys to do? You can't expect them to play hurt to the point where they permanently cripple themselves doing it. No, man. You even then playing hurt, you have your limits.
Nah,
So that's why I say, look.
es un desmadre, güey. Es pinche chifle. That's what it is. No, in serio, dude. Like, when people say that shit, I get frustrated because it's like, really, like, what is even the point of playing at all then? Like, just completely cancel the season? That, again, that would be the biggest asterisk, that they just completely let it not happen after all the work that Giannis has put in, after all the work that LeBron James and AD have put in, of all the work the Clippers and every other team in the league in general has put in, and they don't even get to play it out. That's dumb. That is an asterisk. Everything else besides that is not. Like, injuries happen. Like, and the circumstances are more in favor of every team because they're on a neutral playing ground. So in the end, there is no asterisk. That's end of story. Anybody that says different is a fucking idiot, and they're just salty. That's just all I'm gonna say about that. That's why I hate when that comes up, because it's just like, why does everything have to have an asterisk? And that only started after the Warriors series against LeBron. That's when that shit started. But yeah, I digress on that. Like, because there's no point. Like, because people are always going to find some way to delegitimize a person's, like, career or success. That's really all it amounts to. Fans are the most fickle people. Well, people in general, they're fickle. They cannot be consistent with their arguments, and they cannot be consistent on anything, really. Just enjoy the game. As a matter of fact, this is probably going to be the most interesting playoffs we have seen ever because of all of this. So enjoy it. That's just all I have to say on the matter. Enjoy the damn playoffs when they come, because we're probably never going to see anything like this again. It's crazy, and it's going to be fun. So yeah, that's
just because someone else is having success doesn't mean you shit on them because you're not successful, and that's true. If someone earned their success, you give respect to them. It's like, if he could do it, you can do it too. Don't shit on him because you're not being respectful. It's like, if you're shitting on someone because they're successful and you're not, then you're doing something wrong. It's simple as that, man. Everyone's got to start somewhere. But if you stay where you are and never grow to get better and gain more success, then that's on you, man. That's like,
and
come
yes,
on.
I understand there are some circumstances where, yes, some teams have a certain advantage. I get it, but I mean, that's up to you as a team to counteract that, to fight for that chance to win a championship. And at this point, it's not guaranteed to anybody this year. This is probably the most I'm trying to think of the term. This is the most parity the league has had in a while. So at this point, we should enjoy it, because it's going to be it could be anybody's game in this year.
Which makes it so exciting, because we always get frustrated. I get frustrated when it's always the same teams, like that one strip where it was LA, and one strip where it was San Antonio, at least with us growing up. So with this makes it even more exciting, because like you said, it's like we don't know who's going to really take it, because because of this situation. That's why I like it. I always like seeing something different. Like that's why when Toronto won theirs, I was happy because like they never won one, and it was to me kind of unexpected because usually they would always falter in the playoffs, and they didn't. So that's why I was like, hey, it's anybody's game. Be nice to see someone that hasn't won win it. So there's plenty of those in this bracket. In the
Yeah,
brackets as of
exactly. At
now.
this point, I'm excited that it's coming back. But at the same time, we cannot just say there's an asterisk because your team had some sort of minor disadvantage that doesn't mean shit in the long run. You know, that's the point. Like, I just want to see it again.
Mm-hmm.
And it'll be great. Whether people like it or not, it's going to be great. So, yeah, that's all I have to say on that matter.
Well,
Um,
it beats watching old reruns from games of the past, man. I'd
yeah,
tell you
and granted, it is
that.
fun because you get a kind of a history lesson, but yeah,
Well, yeah, and you get to reminisce about the games we watched before, like on ESPN, they've been showing. I don't know if you got a chance to see it, but I recommend it. And for those that haven't, is the documentary on Michael Jordan and the Bulls. It's called The Last Dance. It's talking
yeah,
about his.
exactly. Yeah, everybody's been talking about it. It's big, it's huge. Everybody's been watching it.
Yeah,
Um,
and they've been replaying some old games. Like I was watching old game from the 1998 finals when it was the Jazz and the Bulls. Man, I was watching some of it. Like, oh my god, wow! I almost forgot about this game, man. I remember watching. I remember you and I watching that finals that year.
yeah, dude. I
That was a
remember,
big year.
I remember like vaguely. I mean, it wasn't entirely clear, but I remember Jordan stealing the ball and ending the finals like against the Jazz.
Yeah,
Like,
man. I just forgot how great the Jazz were, man, with all those guys.
but see,
Stockton and
and this is
Malone. I was like,
another subject we'll
wow,
talk about
dude.
for another day. But people have been really shitting upon players of the past and all of Jordan's competition, saying that it's nothing compared to LeBron's. And to maybe a minor extent, it's true. But come on, guys, to say that Jordan never faced any competition is ridiculous. So what the fuck else is he supposed to face? Himself? Like, what do you want him to do? You know, I just fucking give up and not play. He plays who's in front of him. The Jazz were the team to beat that year. And Jordan beat them. In the both finals that he played them, he beat them. So there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. He played good competition. But I don't know. I get tired of discussing the Jordan versus LeBron dynamic because both fans on both sides are ridiculous. Because
You
they'll
can't, man.
completely discredit LeBron for shit he cannot control, but at the same time, the LeBron stance will do the same thing to Jordan. So it's like there's no point in arguing because they're just gonna go with their guy because they're biased, even though the statistics will say something completely different than what they're saying.
That's
Just
what it is, man.
leave it alone.
It's
It's
just complete
done.
bias, man. And you can't compare two players from each other, especially when they're from different eras, dude. I mean, Jordan owned the 90s. He was the guy of the 90s in the NBA. LeBron was the guy of the 20 teens, if you think about it. I mean, yeah, he was pretty dominant in the latter half of the 2000s, but it was the 20 teens where he really owned it. More the 2000s were pretty much Kobe and Duncan. That was it. So you can't compare it. It's two different eras, it's two different decades. We grew up watching Jordan, so we know how great he was, and we grew up and we're still growing up watching LeBron. We know his success, and we know where he's faltered. But LeBron, I mean, Jordan has had his fair share of failures too. So no one's perfect, but you can't compare the two. It's two different decades, two different eras of basketball.
Yeah, and then
So
I know I always mention this guy, Rusty Buckets, but he comes out with some really good shit, man. So I can't help but not talk about the stuff he talks about here on this podcast. He created another video about the dumbest arguments against Jordan, and the biggest one is the whole thing about him being 1-9 in the first round of the playoffs before he got Scottie Pippen, and it's just like that's not entirely accurate. There are a lot of things that factored into that. LeBron faced some pretty good competition, no doubt. But Jordan faced freaking dynasties, like the
Yeah,
freaking Celtics, and
yeah,
then
dude. His rookie year in '86,
no, no,
he
well,
went
no, in
up
his
against
rookie,
Bird and that
no,
team.
no, no, that was the next year. In his rookie
Or
year,
was it?
he went up against the Bucks, who had a really good squad that year, though. Like everybody always forgets how good of squad that '86 Bucks team was.
Oh yeah, man. No, that's right. But he also went up against the team of the '80s, which was the Celtics. Man, he went up against Bird and all those guys.
Yeah, and
And
even Bird said that Jordan was God disguised as Michael Jordan because of that 63-point game he had against them.
yeah,
Like that was
actually that was the game I was watching on ESPN. It was that game where he scored 63 points against the Celtics. Was it in the playoffs
yeah
or was it a regular?
in the first round of the playoffs.
Yeah, man.
That's
And
that's a
Bird.
record that still stands.
Yeah, and remember the headlines in the newspaper at that time it said how Bird was impressed with Jordan, man.
Yeah, but see,
So it's
that's
like,
the thing. Like Jordan did not have as good of a squad at that point, and he still made it to the playoffs.
yeah,
Like,
well, it was
and
also
everybody likes to talk shit about that, but then every time a LeBron fan makes that argument, they never bring up the fact that LeBron didn't even make the playoffs his first 2 seasons. Like, you can't shit on Michael Jordan for not getting out of the first round when your guy didn't even make the playoffs. That makes no sense. Don't
right.
don't
And
make that argument.
well, another factor with Jordan at the time was his relationship with management of the team wasn't really good because I think there was a time where he got hurt and they limited his hours
His
and
minutes, yeah.
they limited, sorry, I'm thinking of work because I just picked some up, but yeah, they limited his minutes
Hmm.
because he got hurt, but he came back and he was doing better, but the owners, or the VP or whoever was really adamant about limiting Jordan's minutes for whatever reason. I didn't get a chance to watch the whole segment on that, but they went as far as to threaten the coach. Like, you dare put him past 20 minutes or 24 minutes in the game, you're fired. And I'm like, what the hell? Why would you do that? Even though he's capable, he's not like he's still injured. He's good to go. So that was also a factor in why that his first few years wasn't all that
Well, I mean, I
great.
guess because they wanted to conserve him.
But still, it's like you're still putting shackles on him instead of unleashing him like you should. I mean, yeah, you want to protect him as far as for an injury, but when he's good to go, unleash him, man. But anyway, I digress from that. It was just an interesting fact
Yeah,
that
that
was also a
is. I didn't know
factor.
that. I did not know
Yeah,
that.
if you get a chance, I don't know if you can find him on YouTube or whatever, but if you can find the stuff about Jordan, I don't know if that's part of the Last Dance. I
Well,
think
you can
no,
see
I think that's more.
the last dance. I haven't been able to watch it because I don't have the ESPN app, and it's not on Netflix except for in Canada for some reason. I don't know why Canada would have the Last Dance, but not the U.S. on Netflix. But whatever.
Right. Well, if you find the 30 for 30 about Jordan's career, I know the early years should be somewhere you can find it, and that about that game and that whole debacle should be there. Anyway, if you find it, watch it. I recommend it to anybody.
Hmm. But yeah, like it's really good. But as far as other shows, we're gonna kind of get away from the sports stuff for a bit and just talk about some TV shows that we've been watching recently to kind of end the uh, end the podcast a bit. But yeah, as far as shows, what have you been watching as of late besides like anime stuff? What like regular series shows have you been watching?
Well, I was watching One Piece. I was catching up on a lot of the movies that they've made um, that I didn't know about. So I was trying to catch up, at least go in order along with the storyline, and it's been pretty cool seeing the side stories that Oda did. It's funny how Oda actually he wasn't involved in the first, I think, 7 or 8 movies. They were done by someone else, and then he started getting involved in the production, being the executive producer. So they follow the storyline a lot better than the first few movies did. But that's what I've been catching up on. I'm still trying to catch up to where the last movie to where I left off as far as the episodes go, because like I said, I watch the dubbed, I don't watch the sub. So yes, it's like halfway behind. It's like maybe 500 episodes behind, but still I enjoy them. So I think I'm like at episode 575. So I'm trying to catch up to the movies and then finish the episodes and then catch up to that. So I was watching that. What was another one? Sword Art Online. I was watching that one too.
I hear that one's pretty good.
Yeah, it is. If you haven't watched any of it, I recommend watch all of it. I'm on the I think the fourth or fifth season. Um, was it the world of War of the Underworld is I think is what it's called, and it's pretty interesting. It would be cool because the whole point of Sword Art Online, if you haven't got into it, is it's based off of years 2020, right? At the time, I think the anime started in 2017 or 2016. I can't remember, but of course the whole thing starts in the year 2022, if I remember correctly, and then it goes on. I think the entire series has spanned at least 4 or 5 years. So I think they're now in the year 2026. So it's kind of interesting how they're only a few years. It depicts the world a few years into the future, and it talks about how online gaming is, virtual, pretty much virtual reality is pretty much what it is. And I kind of want to. It's kind of cool to ponder the fact if gaming is going to get, if VR is going to get to that level where you
It would
can
be an
dive
interesting
your
thought.
to where you can dive your consciousness into your character and play as if you're in the game yourself.
Yeah.
So it's cool. I mean, if you have you gone into Sword Art Online?
I've heard of it. I haven't gotten into it, but I heard it's really
Oh,
good.
bro. Okay. I recommend it. I recommend it. I think you'll dig it very much. It's a pretty awesome. It's a pretty awesome anime. I'm telling you right now. So if you have the chance, get into it. I think you'll like it very much because it talks about how virtual reality online gaming could be in the future, and it's kind of cool to think about it. So yeah, that's one. I'm trying to think of it. I've just been browsing different animes to watch that
As far as
catch my fancy.
yeah. As far as besides anime, what other like regular shows besides anime?
Regular shows. Oh man, I haven't really caught up with any regular shows. I did watch Law and Order SVU for a bit, but I haven't caught up with the latest season because
Mm,
even though it's not real, it's not based off actual law. Some of it is based off actual law enforcement, but you know how Hollywood is. It kind of caught my fancy a little bit, but I don't know. I kind of lost interest in it. The one that I was trying to get back into, but I haven't because I don't know. I felt like wasn't interested anymore. But I'll try to see is The Walking Dead. I'm so far behind on that. I think I'm
yeah.
like I
I,
think I stopped at like season 6 and I haven't caught up.
yeah, I definitely
So
lost interest in the whole zombie craze, in all honesty. It hasn't been my fave for a while.
I just
So
think maybe the way the storyline was going, I was like, I don't know about this now, but I'll see. I'll have to catch on with that.
yeah,
But
we're
yeah, as
probably
far
gonna
as
get a
regular
lot of
TV,
people that are fan of the show that's gonna be like, "You guys fucking suck."
well, no, I mean, it's not. I liked it when it started. It was cool. I just the way the storyline and the developed after season 6, I wasn't sure. It's like, I don't like the way this is going, but
Pues me vale
I'll
madre,
see.
dude. Like I just
Sí, le vale madre, pues, sí. As far as anything else, oh man, I just haven't been that big into actual TV shows as of late. It just like I said, anime or actual movies that I haven't seen. So I really don't know what else is good out there. Well, I mean, what have you watched?
well, personally, what me and Ashley, my wife Ashley, has been watching. We've been watching What We Do in the Shadows. It's based off of a movie that was created first, but then turned into a TV show. It's a comedy show about vampires, and it's like like it's a mockumentary about vampires. They kind of go follow them, living their lives, and
That's interesting.
it's a really funny show. You should definitely watch it when you get a chance. Watch the movie first, and then watch the show. Like it is hysterical.
Okay.
I love that show so much. Like every time I just cannot stop laughing at the stupidity. Like my favorite character on that show is Nandor. He's like this some I'm trying to think of the term because I'm not certain if Middle Eastern is the correct term. But yeah, he's I guess somewhere within the Middle East. He's a vampire and he acts all like goofy, just kind of silly and all that stuff. And
Okay.
but it's funny because the actor he said that the directors told him if he ever felt awkward to just smile into the camera, and it just ended up being something that was just funny. So he tends to do that a lot. Like after he says something, he's just like, like he just gives this goofy ass smile. It's a good show. You definitely got to watch What We Do in the Shadows. And then The Masked Singer. The Masked Singer I've been really enjoying. I was a little frustrated about this season, but as a matter of fact, I just kind of want to make this announcement. On my other channel, Mark the Tenor, I'm going to be working on a video about like kind of a critique of this season's Masked Singer, because there was a lot of good. I really enjoy the show. It's a really fun concept. It's great. There were just a couple of things this season I just really wasn't too happy about. And I hope to God that people don't give me crap for it, because it's just, it's my opinion. And as a trained singer, I know what I'm talking about in certain regards. I don't claim to be the greatest singer in the world, obviously, but I'm not going to sit here and say I don't know what I'm talking about either.
No, man. I mean, don't let other people do that to you. I mean, for the ones that aren't trained and don't know, they have no grounds to really back their stuff. But you do, dude. You got 2 degrees, so you know what you're talking about.
Yeah, but see, within the music world, people don't really respect that. They don't care, because it's like, you don't need to have a degree to be a recording artist. Look at half of the people nowadays, and some of them don't. Some of them don't.
Maybe not. But the ones that choose to get it, don't shit on their on their path either. They put the time in, that they training in to do it. Like I mean, with me, I'm not claiming I'm an expert either. I mean, I got 1 degree. I'm getting my second, and even then, you still learn after that. So, everyone's got to say, especially those that do it professionally, like you and I. So it's like, we know what we're talking. We don't know everything, but that's why we're still learning. We never stop learning in any field, but we know what we're talking about because we've put the time in, we've gained the knowledge. And like I said, it's not like,
But yeah, that's just what I wanted to announce. So when I post it, I'll let you all know. It's on my channel, Mark the Tenor. Be sure to subscribe to that channel as well. It's currently mainly cover videos of songs that I've done. Hopefully in the future I'll do some more like historical videos in different languages, and possibly more original songs. I'm just trying to get back into the swing of songwriting. I'm a good lyricist. I can write decent melody, but it's just creating the structure underneath that's still kind of like the music theory behind it is still kind of out of my grasp. But hopefully I can get back to that and make some good stuff on that channel as well. But yeah, that's what I have for that deal. I mean, as far as another show, before we kind of wrap this up and make a couple more announcements, another show that I have been tending to watch besides that, well, actually, not really any other shows, but you know what I find fun once in a while? Watching videos on YouTube about like Reddit stories, like Ask Reddit. There's this subreddit on Ask Reddit called Ask Reddit, and they pretty much ask random questions, and you just kind of see the responses of a bunch of people. But they've been posting all of that on YouTube now, and there's like a robotic voice that kind of repeats what is being said and asked. And there's a lot of fun stuff, and there's a lot of crazy, weird shit too. So always be sure to kind of go about that as well.
Yeah, I was also considering maybe you and I can do some more sing videos if that's possible.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
I gotta get more confident in doing that, and then there's got to be a way I can use sing to where I can play my horn on certain songs and sing at the same time. There's got to be a way.
Well, what you do is you do it to where it's like a group sing, right? You sing in one recording, and then the next recording you can like add yourself to that recording and play the sax then, and then you can add me. That's how you do it. You, instead of singing, do a solo or do a duet, do a group, and then you could do multiple videos. Yes.
Oh, okay. Maybe you'll have to show me how to do that later when we have time, because I really want to do that. And then I know there's a lot of guys that would do that a cappella thing. I was wondering how you do that. Apparently, I guess it's a subscription that you have to sign up for.
Yeah, well, I mean, so is Smule. They're kind of both the same, except the free version of Smule, you can do some recordings of your own too. But
Oh, okay. But
yeah,
Shmuel can do the same thing like acapella?
they're similar. I don't claim to know much about acapella, that app, so yeah, I'm not going to really say too much about it because I don't know.
Check it
But
out if you can.
yeah, but yeah, as far as my other two announcements, I'm going to work on the Western Conference part of my predictions video. Even if something does change within the landscape of things, I'll just make an update to my predictions on the podcast, the future podcasts. And also, I'm going to be working still on my my Steve Nash video. It's just it takes time because I'm still not very certain if a trade is going to work, if it's going to be realistic enough. And I don't want to put something out there and then I get a lot of crap or it doesn't get watched because it wasn't realistic enough. You know, that's just my only issue with that project right now. I have a lot of info. I want to make sure it works. But anyhow, that's really all I have. Did you have anything else, Mario?
Just to, like I said, I'm getting my channels going. Bear with me. It's just been kind of tough. I've been trying to pick up hours of work to have some stable income, but bear with me. I'll be trying to post some things from my gaming channel and my music channel very soon. Like I said, these times I'm having to hustle for other things, but it will be my content for me will be coming. And then, like I said, hopefully, and when I make my videos, please make recommendations on what you want to see as far as games go, and I'll try to do what I can with the computer I have, and then songs you want to hear. So like my gaming channel is RedMT25, and then of course my music channel will be my name, Mario AX Tenorio. So come, once I start putting on, please subscribe and post recommendations for what you would like to hear, what you would like to see me do. And hopefully with that, I'll try to do some podcasts of my own with my brother, and then try on for gaming, and then for music, hopefully try to bring on some other guys as well, talk some stuff. So yeah, those will, like I said, bear with me. It'll be coming soon.
Ok, ándale pues. Suscríbete a mi canal y hasta el próximo, mi gente. Adiós. Paz,
Adios.
paz, paz.
Adios.